Hey, Writerly Besties, welcome back to the Writing with Anna New podcast, where we talk about all things writing. In today's episode, I'm really excited to be talking all about my writing projects and basically all the books I want to write before I die. Um, I don't know if I'm going to actually be able to write all these books before I die, but we can try, okay? We can try. So I have a list of literally 14. I have a page right here. 14 little books like they're little. No, books that I want to write, and these are kind of just projects and they all have project names. So I'm going to be going through 14 of them today, and there are some more, but I think 14 is enough. These are the main ones that I've been thinking about. So I'm going to be starting off with the obvious ones and books that I've been working on now, then going into books that I've kind of been on and off in, or kind of like planned, for example, and then my other projects are going to be kind of like very brainstormy ones that I've been thinking about a lot. So let's go ahead and get on to my writing projects. I'm really excited for you guys to learn more about books that I haven't really talked about. And also, I'm just really flattered that you guys are interested in the books that I want to write. So let's go ahead and get into it. So first up, blah, blah. First off, I'm going to be like stumbling in like all of these, trying to explain what these books are about, because I'm going to be going into one where I'm at with this project, and then two, what the book's about. Okay, so let's get into it. Sorry for a long intro, but let's go. Okay, number one, Project Ghost. Project Ghost, I'm at draft 2 at the moment, and I kind of hope this to be my debut novel. Yeah, this is going to be my debut novel, so I'm getting it into a place where I can query it and hopefully be able to publish it someday. So Project Ghost is basically a book about a girl who meets 4 ghost boys in a very desolate town, and she ends up just like hanging out with them and learning more about them, and starts to find a lot of similarities between them and her, and just kind of bonds with them basically. And these ghost boys are crazy. They basically just like terrorize the whole town, like graffiti and steal things and drive cars and crash. Like, they're crazy. So like it's kind of a story. It's hard to explain because this book is very special to me, and I can't say too much about it without kind of spoiling the whole purpose of the book. But that's Project Ghost. I've talked a lot about Project Ghost, so you guys probably are pretty well known with that book. Okay, next up we have Project O. So Project Orchestra is a book that I've been writing right now. I actually wrote for half an hour this morning, which was really good. I'm actually going to be filming a vlog. I am filming a vlog today, so you're going to see that in an upcoming video. However, Project O is basically a book about a conductor, and it's kind of based in the 1800s. So, it's about a conductor named Alex who ends up recruiting a busking violinist who's a runaway from home, and it's kind of a story about art and vulnerability and a revolution, basically. If you don't know about the Romantics Revolution, definitely research it. It's such a liberating thing as an artist to be able to read stuff and learn about that stuff, about history. So it's kind of like a historical fiction. And where I'm at with it, with that project, is I'm writing the zero draft. So kind of plotting the zero draft. Okay. Next up, we have Project I First Met You in a Graveyard. So this is the third project on my list. This is kind of a love story between these two characters who, learn about death and life. It's the first book I ever wrote, so I'm on my second draft now, and I really want to write it because a lot of you guys seem to really adore this novel. So I'm really excited about that book. It's just like such a sad book, and sometimes it's really hard to get into because it's just so heart-wrenching and like emotional, but I love it so much. And the main character, Eamon, I've talked a lot about in all of my videos. He's my favorite character ever. So I love Eamon so much. But yeah, it's kind of like a cute love story, and I don't usually write romance books. So this is like the first romance book I really wrote that has nothing to do with like fantasy or anything. It's like straight romance. Lol, it's not straight, but you guys get the point. Okay, next up we have Project Prison, which is my fourth project on this list. I want to write this book so freaking bad right now. I'm on the first draft technically since I've already written the zero draft, and it's basically just waiting to be written properly. And I just like need to control myself to not finish, project to actually finish my projects and not just run to this book because I love it so much and I like want to work on it so bad. Anyways, it's about basically two inmates who are strangers and they meet in juvie. And as they get to know each other, they realize that they have no idea, like both of them have no idea why they got there and why they were convicted, basically. And then it's later realized that their cases are linked and they try to escape. Such a good book. I love it. I'm so proud of this novel so much. And just thinking, I like randomly think about the end of the book and how, yeah, I just can't. Like the end of the book, oh my gosh. I feel sorry for whoever wants to read that book. Anyway, so that's Project Prison. Next up, we have Project 5, which is Project PJ. I have not technically started this book. It's not really a book, it's also a collection of 3 short stories, which is kind of a project in itself. And I've been kind of planning this for a while now. It's just kind of been in the back of my mind, but it's kind of, yeah, definitely in the planning stage. But Project PJ, it's kind of a progressional story where the 3 short stories aren't really linked, but they are in some aspects, and it's kind of a story about finding yourself. The 3 main stories, like one of them is about like a character meeting like a ghost in a town, kind of similar to Project Ghost, but not really. The second book is kind of like about a group of orphans who are basically arsonists. And then the third book is, or short story, is about a girl who ends up meeting a guy in a vintage store and they like end up making out or something. It's like really, really weird. I don't know why I got this idea and like why, yeah, just like weird. It has like a lot of different themes and I'm excited to explore them, but yeah, it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be real fun. So that's a really interesting project that I haven't really, yeah, talked about ever. So there you go. Okay, let's keep it rolling. Okay, Project 6 is Project CZ. This is a big fantasy book. It's a duology technically, and I'm still writing it. My plan, guys, okay, I know you guys seem to really like this book, and I really love it. It's like the book of my heart, yet I've like shelved it. And I think the reason, honestly, I've shelved it is because my skill set is not where it needs to be able to write this book and develop it in a way that meets the way that I imagine it and actually executing it. So I plan to hopefully finish all the books that I want to finish by at least the 8th month. My goal was this like the 6th month, like halfway through the year, and then I'll have half a year to work on Project CZ. But I think maybe it's more realistic to maybe go to July or August. I think that's really like the main time where I want to stop and start working on this big fantasy duology because I love it so much. And if you guys don't know what it's basically about these demigods, a lot of worlds, a lot of portals, a lot of like a big war. Like it has everything in it, and it's basically it starts where there's a group of orphans. I have a lot of orphan stories. Group of orphans who basically save kids, save other kids who are kind of lost or yeah, like kids that have been impacted by the war, the big war. So they basically like recruit all these little kids and like go out and save them, which is kind of sweet. And yeah, it kind of like is a big portal world. So a lot of different like elves, like there's lots of fairies, there's pixies, there's wolves, there's humans as well, because the main character is a human. But yeah, that's Project CZ, which I really, really love. Okay, let's move on. Project 7 is Project BB. This is a book that I've been working on so much. I'm like on the first draft and I've been pantsering this whole thing. Like, I don't know what's going to happen in the next page because I need to physically be at my desk pantsering it. So this book has taken me like, I think 2 years now to write. So yeah, but it's written pretty well. And I do have audiobooks on this book. So if you guys want to check that out, definitely do. But Project BB is basically about it's like a kingdom-esque vibe where this main character Robin robs from the kingdom, so she's kind of like a thief, but she ends up kind of sparking a revolution she didn't mean to. So yeah, kind of cool, and she kind of overthrows the king. Kind of cool. Anyways, next project is Project 8. So this is Project Freak Show. This book, I don't think I've talked about. Maybe I have. I doubt it, but it's inspired by one of Suburban's songs. If you don't listen to Suburban, he's amazing. But yeah, it's I think it's literally that's the song. Freak Show is the song. And I'm like in the planning stages still. I definitely have not brainstormed to the extent I need to start this book. But Project Freak Show kind of follows this journalist who goes to a really like old town to interview this mysterious like band of circus people who actually like steal from the watchers. So the performers like basically steal, and they're kind of very like mythical and mysterious. So no one is able to really get close to them. But there's journalist who's like really passionate about wanting to write a story about them. And yeah, it's kind of like a story about that, but there's like a huge like backstory between the main guy who is like the main person who is in charge of the performing group, the circus, and he reminds me of Kaz a lot, Kaz Bracker. And he basically like he has a purpose for needing money and stealing from people. It kind of is like the vibe from The Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern. Such a good book. But yeah, such an interesting novel. It's like a novella also. Basically, all these are novellas. Um, so yeah, so that's Project Freak Show. Project 9. I don't have a project name for that. I don't know why. I must have skipped one. Okay, let's go to 10. Project Resurrection. Oh my gosh, I'm really excited to write this book, but I haven't had the time to. And it's basically a story. Like if you guys didn't know, I'm Christian, and I've always wondered what was Jesus doing when he was like he took 3 days to resurrect, right? I'm like, what was he doing? Like he must have had gone to death, like gone to hell. And he must have like defeated death, right? Obviously, because he was alive. And I'm like, I want to tell a story about that and about like what happened down there with Hades and like with not Hades, but you know, down there on the hell. And it's kind of like an interpretive story, a literary fiction vibe that I hope to be writing. So it's kind of like an interesting book like that. And I'm not as near like all these books so far, apart from maybe the last one and the second one I'm going to talk about. I've not planned for at all. Okay, let's go on to the next one, Project Fly. This is Project 11. Project Fly is a book I really want to write. I was inspired by an idea that I got ages and ages ago. Also kind of about, yeah, real life. But it starts off where there's this like it's like in a dystopian future. There's this girl who is the daughter of a really well-known like scientist who basically studies birds, because in this dystopian future there is basically like no birds at all, and like birds are kind of like the last living things in the world, and they somehow for some reason need birds, so they're kind of like studying them. And anyways, the father ends up kind of experimenting on the girl so that she like kind of gets wings, but it doesn't like realize it doesn't happen until like the very end of the book. Anyways, and crows are like the rodents of the city. Like this is a really like, you know, inbuilt city which is all like of steel and everything. There's no anything, so like crows are the only things that are the birds, you know, that are alive now. And she kind of like it's like a revolution, like crazy story where basically she storms like at the end of the book. She ends up like storming into like the bird canary like place where they all keep the nice birds and everything. And she has like crows all over her, and like she ends up just like basically blowing up the whole city. I don't know, man. Like this is still in the idea stage, but like I want something crazy, like this little girl like walking with like, you know, fire exploding around her. with crows along her back, and crows just like swarming in and like basically defeating. It's kind of like an unhinged story that I low key like just want to see. Like it's just like something really cool I've been thinking about. And I've never really written a dystopian book, so it's kind of like the first little thing that I would have been writing if I do write a dystopian book. Anyways, let's move on. We have a few more left. So we have Project I, which is a book I have talked about. Still in the brainstorming stages. It stands for Project Inventors. And the book is called The Inventors. And I really want to write this book so much, like all of these books I want to write, but especially this one because it's so cool and it has like time travel, it has like time warp and like parallel universes where basically these two inventors who are kind of like opposite opposite characters, like it's sunshine and gloomy, and they basically like need to save the world to stop like a clock that has been able to time travel and is starting to warp the world in a way that somehow parallel universes are starting to collide. And it's interesting because the two main characters are kind of, at least in this universe, they are the inventors of, I think the steam engine is for the main character, and then the other character is, I think he invented like the telecommunication, like stuff like that. And it's really interesting because when they like go into like another parallel universe, they end up meeting the act like other people who actually have invented it, and it's how it is in our world, like who actually invented the light bulb or the steam engine, for example. And they meet them like, excuse me, I did that in my. Anyways, I don't know if that's how it works, but it is for my book. Okay, so shut up. Anyways, let's go ahead and move on to the last two. Okay, we have Project Gang. Project Gang. Oh my gosh, I had this idea. I remember I was in the car, I was listening to this really like badass playlist, and I'm like, oh, this will be so cool. And I just like had an idea about like, you know, those cool action shots where when a character like jumps out the window and then the other character jumps to try to save them, but in a way like I like don't even know where I brainstormed it. I hope I brainstormed it somewhere because I remember like distinctly how I wanted to write this. I think it's in my notes app or something. But yeah, Project Gang, it's kind of like a cyberpunk book. I love how all these are so distinctly different. But Project Gang is kind of yeah about like these rival gang members, and basically two of them kind of bind together to exploit each other's, so that they can run away free with all of the money basically. And it's really really cool. So I don't really know too much about it, so I can't say a lot about it, but it's still in the back of my mind somewhere. So yeah, Project Gang. Alrighty, lastly we have Project GS, Project Gemspell. This book I have talked about. Oh my gosh, but this book, I think I'm still writing the zero draft actually. So this book is like this project is weird in the list. So I'm sorry about that. But Project GS, it's kind of about it has a big magic system where gems and like minerals have powers, and there's these people called like the mages who make spells and who basically try to protect the humans from a bad like creature thing that has a lot of little minions who kind of like crawl up into the earth, um, because the core, sorry, this is me explaining really badly, but because the core of the earth is so hot, it is actually like a portal to another world, which allows these creatures to come up from and like build tunnels to kill humans. There's a lot more to it. I'm really, really, really into this book, and I've realized on reflection that like this book in particular has like makes the most sense, and I think that's why I'm unattracted to it, because I feel like it's too like it works too well. You know what I mean? Like it's too I don't know what I don't know. I feel like I love books that just don't make sense. Maybe that's just me, but with Project GS, it's very like established. It's very like easy to follow, and it's very good. I feel like the brainstorming that I've done, and the characters are very fleshed out. I definitely do want to write this maybe this year. Oh my gosh, no, I need to write all my books this year. Oh, this is like the most relatable thing I could say, but I want to just write all my books. But I can't. I never can do that. Anyways, it's like the 20-minute mark. Oh my gosh. I've been talking for 20 minutes. That's insane. But thank you so much for listening in. I really hope you guys enjoyed learning more about my books and everything like that. And yeah, just maybe you got some ideas. Definitely use them. Again, inspiration comes from everywhere. But I hope your projects are doing really, really well. I truly, truly do. But yeah, sorry for the long episode, and I hope you enjoyed learning all about my books that I probably won't ever get to, but we can try, can't we? Anyways, I love you guys and hope to see you in my next writing video. Bye!